Okay, so I'm Kate Clavet. I'm from Atlassian. As Brian mentioned, I am a technical product marketing manager for our IT service management solutions. I've been at Atlassian for almost 7 years, and I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm going to try to meet Brian's challenge of going through as many updates as possible. So first is our obligatory legal slide. So let's move on from that. What we announced at Team 2025. Our main focus this year is increasing profitability, creating better products, and doing good in the world, leveraging Jira Service Management. No matter what your background is or what you're trying to accomplish, whether you are a software team, an IT operations team, or a human resources team, being able to deliver exceptional service is what is going to keep you successful. Often we see, I don't know if you work from home, I don't have a group of these folks with me in my home office, but especially with distributed work, we feel more and more separated from the teams that we are supposed to be collaborating with and getting work done with. When our teams are separated, whether that's separating IT ops and dev or separating the help seeker from the human resources team, it's really hard to get work done and to deliver exceptional service. We need that visibility. And with Jira Service Management, our goal is to end bad service management, to end those disconnected experiences, and to prevent folks from going to get help, having to wait way too long, getting the wrong answer. For poor folks who wake up on call in the middle of the night, not being able to have access to the information they need in order to solve an incident. So our goal here is to end bad service management. With Jira Service Management, you have visibility across dev, IT, and your business teams. They're able to work together on the same platform, and they're still able to customize. We're complex enough for IT, but we're also easy enough to use for human resources, legal, marketing, and we provide visibility for dev and IT across each other's work. So again, they're able to have full visibility into what's going on when they're planning for enhancements, or they're dealing with an incident, or fulfilling a typical support request. And that means that we get to close that gap and bring everyone together to deliver exceptional service experiences. We have AI-powered support and operations that we've announced at Team. We are able to predict issues, suggest actions, and automate resolutions so that you can turn your insights into action. I think what I'm most excited about, that I won't spend too much time on, but is the power of combining our AI with intelligent automation. There's so many possibilities platform-wide with the introduction of that. What we found so far in our State of Incident Management report that we did in 2024 is that most folks reported AI adoption has positively impacted their workforce efficiency. So it's not all hype. AI, when used properly and for the right things, can really make your workday better. And that's both for folks who are providing the help, whether that be an HR manager or a support agent, and folks who are seeking the help on the other side. One of our customers, FanDuel, since they implemented Atlassian's virtual service agent, they've been able to cut support tickets that require human intervention by 85%, which is massive. And that means that their agents have time to spend on higher impact work, cut repetitive requests, and it also means that the folks getting help are not waiting for too long. They're getting what they need, and they're able to get their work done happily. Some early results that we've seen from folks leveraging Atlassian's Jira Service Management solution for incident, 55 minutes saved per incident through the use of AI and automation. And the source of that is Forrester's Total Impact of AI in Jira Service Management. If you've not seen that report, highly recommend taking a look at it. It's a great read. And again, this is what's helping, there's so much AI hype out there. It's difficult to determine what success you can actually see when you're implementing a new AI solution. Forrester Total Economic Impact Report has key data points and customer stories and quotes that back up that it's not just hype, it is actually true. But again, that's having to use AI for the right things and in the right context. So first, we're going to cover AI employee-powered support. Then we're going to take a look at IT Ops Reimagined. And lastly, we're going to talk about scaling service management. Let's get into AI-powered support. So here we have someone coming to the virtual service agent and asking for help. You'll note that there are third-party sources now available to virtual service agent. It's not just your Confluence knowledge base anymore. And then again, pairing that Rovo functionality along with automation, the virtual service agent is able to take action. This means freeing up even more time for your agents and allowing them to do higher value work instead of something typical like walking someone through troubleshooting a VPN like you just saw here. And next, you're going to be able to get insights into how successful you're leveraging your virtual service agent to deflect issues. Are folks happy with the service they get from your virtual service agent? Implementing it and saving your agent's time isn't the only metric, of course, to use. How many requests are you resolving? And how many total conversations are you handling? It's also able to provide you suggestions on knowledge base articles. If you're getting the same request over and over again, that means maybe your knowledge is out of date or you don't have an article that exists that serves that question. So you can further deflect requests based on that as well. And here's that feature in action. And once it suggests the topic for you, it can also now draft the article for you. So again, something pretty straightforward, right? Saves time, can be written just a few minutes, but then we're keeping the human in the loop so that they're able to review this knowledge base article and make sure it covers what they need. So we're just multiplying the human agents. We're not replacing them. Next is the triage agent. It can take a look at all of the open records that you have and make suggestions. You can also leverage automation to ensure that it's making specific suggestions based on different criteria. So here you see that when an issue is created, it's going to look at similar issues and update the priority. It can also determine what type of request. Sometimes, depending on where you're receiving your request from, they might not have the request type filled out, or it might not be the correct request type. So that saves you time as well. Again, still keeping that human in the loop. It can also suggest assignees for you based on past issues and past activity within your instance. Next, we're going to talk about the priorities we have keeping humans at the center. So I've mentioned we're keeping the human in the loop. With everything Atlassian's building around AI, we believe in transparency. We believe in ensuring that the human is kept in the loop. We're not replacing them. We're just multiplying their power so that they can be more efficient and happier at work. I don't know about you all, but what makes me the most frustrated are repetitive tasks that I don't get a lot out of. And that's what we're looking at here. We're keeping teams connected, distributed work. I can't even tell you how many articles I've read on this topic at this point. It's almost become one of those terrible buzzwords, right? Like innovative. Everyone's working in a distributed environment these days, and it's really important for us to be able to be connected so we can collaborate effectively. Next, we're trying to enhance employees' experiences. Meet them where they are, make their day better, get them the help they need, find them the article they need, write a knowledge base article for them that's missing and is really going to help deflect requests. And lastly, operational efficiency. So again, we're leveraging technology so that you can do more with less, but we're keeping the human at the center of what we're doing. They're always at the forefront of our mind. Now we're going to get a little bit further into the service experiences from the human resources perspective. So this is how we're thinking about the employee life cycle. Pretty typical, right? You start from offer, onboarding, benefits, what internal mobility looks like, managing cases, performance evaluations, and then offboarding. So we have introduced templates to Jira Service Management that are going to make this a lot easier. These templates are combined with automations so that you can fulfill various human resources related requests in far less time and deliver excellent human resources service. Some results that we've seen so far from folks who are leveraging human resources in Jira Service Management is being able to handle upwards of 3,800 requests, resolving 30% of requests using the virtual service agent, and getting a CSAT score of 95% satisfaction, which is massive. These are really great results. Atlassian itself is also using Jira Service Management for human resources. And this is how we imagine the happy people able to have good service experiences, either from the help provider side or the help seeker side. Let's get a little bit deeper into HR Service Management from Jira Service Management. So one thing we've introduced is further customizable help centers, so you can make really compelling and really accessible help centers for your non-IT audiences. Of course, HR is one application, but it can be leveraged for various different applications. Here we're looking at our 29 HR templates. That's quite a few. This is our employee onboarding one. And again, there's automations out of the box that you can leverage as well for each of these processes. We've introduced an integration with Workday. We've also introduced journeys, which the way I've been describing it, this is my own personal definition as a warning, but it's essentially automation, but simplified for people who might not have that ITSM background or might not be used to the automations interface in Jira Service Management. The way that it outlines the process for you is a little bit easier. And there's also specific templates that can be leveraged to create your automations a bit faster. And we're just walking through that. So this is for sending a welcome email. And it's pretty easy and pretty quick to apply. And here we're looking a bit more at this Workday integration that we have. We also have an integration with Workato that I think we have announced since this presentation. Those were two very highly sought after integrations. Additionally, you're able to restrict different types of requests to only certain folks. So for example, if someone needed to report a sensitive incident, they would only be able to, that would only be able to be seen by HR managers. Sorry, it looks like Shivendra, you've raised your hand. Okay, well, I know we're on a tight timeline, so pop anything you need in the chat and I'll take a look if for some reason you can't go off mute. Okay, and moving right along, another way that you're able to leverage AI and Jira Service Management is by taking a look at your board, which is just a different way to view work in Jira Service Management. You have multiple views available to you now. And it's going to tell you, hey, these are about to breach SLA. These need your attention today. It will give you various advice on where you should focus your energy first. So if you come into a full board and it's a little overwhelmed, you're able to get through that faster with AI giving you a nice hand. And again, we're going to look at a couple different views of work here. You have your traditional list view, board view, and calendar view, which is my personal favorite. Moving right along is the HR overview dashboard. We've introduced this. You'll see it in the summary tab of each project, which will soon be called spaces, but today they're called projects still, I believe. So here you can just get a nice bird's eye view of, not a bird's eye view. You have kind of a source of truth of everything going on within this space of work. Opportunities for improvement, team workload balancing, essentially taking various reports that existed in Jira Service Management already out of the box, but putting them into a single dashboard for you to make it easier for you to gain insights quickly. And now we're going to take a quick look at IT Ops. My background's in incident management, so it's a personal favorite of mine. Sorry, I clicked a little too fast on that. So one of the things we have that is really important is the ability to connect with DevOps. So that's one of the main differences with Jira Service Management is you have visibility between your dev and your IT Ops teams. We're able to see deployments and change requests, and we're also able to get a fuller view of what's going on across your services. Next, we have alert grouping. AI intelligently groups alerts for you based on similarity, so that way you know exactly where to pay attention. So you'll see here, this is a group of 102 alerts, and they're all P1. That's probably something you'd like to take a look at as an IT Ops person. Once you look into that group, there are various suggestions provided to you, and then there's also an overview and the ability to click into each individual alert. AI can help you create an incident, so you can do so quickly and get all of those responders notified and ready to work toward the root cause. It will give you suggestions based on past similar alerts and other information within your Jira Service Management instance. Here we're able to see that checkout is experiencing an outage and there's an incident on the payment service. If we click into the service graph, we can see the downstream dependencies. So you'll note that there's an incident on the payment service, but also on the billing service, which is attached to these pieces of these servers, rather. And that gives us information to look further into the incident. Now that we know that those services are connected, we can take a look at similar incidents, related articles that will help us get to the bottom of it. We can also add different folks who can help thanks to this suggestions panel here. The suggestions panel exists for incidents. It also exists for service requests as well. It provides you a suggestion such as marking it as a major incident based on similar past incidents. Once that's done, you're able, a Slack channel is automatically created for everybody to respond in Swarm. Next, you're able to run a root cause analysis. This is not available yet. This is coming soon. I don't have a GA date to share, but I will have one soon. Once that root cause is suggested, you can then speak with the root cause analysis agent and ask it for further context to ensure that the root cause that was suggested to you through the root cause analysis is actually the best option. We also have playbooks, which ensure that the same steps are followed each time something occurs. For example, this particular incident and rollbacking a deployed change on this service because it was identified as part of the root cause. Once everything is completed, the part everyone hates the most is generating the PIR because we're tired. We don't want to live in the past of that negative moment of the post-incident review. Ops Guide can create that for you. You can also generate it directly from a Confluence page as well, leveraging the information in the incident record. So you can cross that off your list pretty quickly. And next, very briefly, we'll take a look at service management at scale. We have a couple of enhancements coming to assets in Jira Service Management that are pretty exciting. So of course, as we went through here, visibility across your infrastructure is really important. Visibility across all of the information in the teamwork graph is also key. Our assets is incredibly flexible. We have people leveraging it to keep track of luxury cars and fish, as well as different other types of typical IT assets and CIs. We will be announcing Data Manager GA soon. Currently, it is in open beta. I don't have a GA date to share, but we have various connectors that are going to help you ensure that the data in your assets repository is complete, current, and correct. You're now able to access assets through search, so you're able to see them wherever. They're also available in the app dropdown if you've not noticed that yet. And the more visibility you have in assets, the better, because you have richer context into what's going on. So this is that search where you're able to just search and the assets will pop up there. We also have introduced smart links. So you can copy the link and put it into a Confluence page. Oops, that one went a little too fast. So you can copy the link, put it into a Confluence page so that you're able to see it there. And pop it in. There it is. Okay. Next, we will be announcing 10 million assets for our asset repository for JSM assets. You'll be able to have faster imports, faster AQL, and better uptime. We are currently re-architecturing assets and to ensure that all of this is possible. No date to share on this, just something to be aware. And lastly, we're working on expanding data residency across the platform. We are recently FedRAMP moderate designated, and we have a couple of other designations coming soon for different compliances. I'm just going to slip through this so that way I don't take up too much time. We also announced Customer Service Management, which is coming soon. No GA date to share on that, but you can go to Atlassian's website to get more information or use this handy QR code. And hopefully, that's all I've got. I've met the challenge of getting through all of that material in a very brief period of time.
Well done, I would say.
Excellent, excellent, Kate. I had one question which I put into the Q&A, which is generally, will we be getting automated imports into schemas?
That is a good question. I don't know the answer, but I will be happy to get it for you.
All right. This is pretty impressive.
Okay, I have a question if nobody does from the JSM side. I guess where do you think is an area that still needs some work? So this kind of runs into like a question/complaint thing, because obviously I think there's a lot that's been built out. Is there anything that you'd like to still see as somebody that's kind of focused on that product?
Yes. So something I'm really excited about is we're doubling down in the next couple of years from a roadmap perspective on a platform-wide experience. And I think something that we commonly hear with a product like Jira Service Management is that it's been built out through various powerful acquisitions that, of course, have been exciting and really helpful and have offered a lot of value to the product. But sometimes, because of the way that occurred, there are some experiences that could use some optimization and could be more uniform. And so I'm excited to see like 2 years from now where we're at with that, because there's a lot more focus going into that with building out AI as a platform offering. So that's my answer for that question. I think really optimizing for the experience.
For sure. Appreciate the answer.
Excellent, excellent. Well, friends, I got to tell you, anybody else have questions? Let's see. We just got a chat. Automating imports is planned to be achieved. Yes! Woohoo! Thank you. That's exciting. Assets data manager. Cool. Excellent. So, folks, we're going to go ahead and go into the next one. I'll Jira issue to code in minutes with the technical code planning agent. I'm going to show you how Atlassian's latest code planner agent can help your engineering team start their work faster. So we'll start with why it can be painful for developers to start a new task and give you a live demo of how the latest Code Planner agent will become every developer's best partner in Jira before they pick up a new task. So I can't see any hands. Somebody tell me how many people. Raise your hands in the comments, like in the app. If you are or once were an engineer building software. Cameron, how many people are there? Who knows? Some number of you.
I'm only seeing one, but I feel like it's
okay. Well, hey, there we go. That's somebody who understands the pain of picking up new tasks.
Yeah, and not me. I'm excited to learn this.
So for those who aren't coming from a technical background, let me tell you a short story. About 4 years ago, my friend landed on their first senior engineering role in a new company, and they were excited to get started building great software. But it wasn't easy, even though they had all of the technical experience. On a typical day, they'd kick off a new Jira task after stand-up and find themselves reading a long Jira description with requirements and technical details. Before they could write a single line of code, they had to spend the next hour trying to translate requirements into solid implementation plan so that they had clarity on where code changes needed to happen and what actions they needed to take. That process is painful and really slowed them down, and they wasted so much time that they could spend on building great things. And they weren't alone. Many developers find the biggest bottleneck in their workflow isn't coding itself, but it's actually the time they spend before coding starts. They often end up searching for keywords in the code bases and Confluence documentation, just hoping to find some solid references to tell them where the right places are to look. And that's not all. Once they find the right places to get started, developers still need to translate business requirements into action plans, to turn ideas into implementation. For those new members joining a new team or stepping into a new domain of technology, the journey gets even harder. They often need to research similar tasks done in the past to validate their action plans for assurance. Now, all of this context switching eats away at your momentum to build faster. Now, imagine if we could cut down that time from hours to just minutes. Think of how much more value developers could deliver if they could jump straight into coding with a confident plan. And Atlassian recognizes this. Recognize that writing code represents only a small fraction of the challenges that developers face every day. And there aren't a lot of AI tools out there to help developers get started on their tasks by giving them a clear plan. That's where Atlassian comes in. Thrilled to introduce the Code Planner Agent, the personal planning assistant that automates the research and planning phase for every developer in Jira. It's always on standby when developers are picking up a new task. It learns from your team's knowledge and delivers a clear and actionable technical plan so that developers can get right into problem solving without hours of searching and planning. Now let's take a closer look at how it works in production. Okay, I'm going to jump into a short demo and I'm going to show you exactly how Code Planner works in Jira. So we're going to open a Jira ticket with a detailed description. The agent immediately will analyze relevant Confluence pages and scour the repository. Within seconds, it will produce a concise technical plan, a recommended set of files to change, references to modules, and even relevant documentation. No more guesswork, no more hours lost to Slack messages and code searches. Let's take a look. It's a recorded demo. It's my favorite. So here we go. So it's recorded at 1x speed. Bear with me. It's a little slow compared to my speaking. But I'm opening, here we go. We're opening up a new issue. Here's what the work item, sorry. We have to update all the API endpoints in the workflow. There's replace the calls to this endpoint with a new endpoint, and it's in this particular repo. It says the relevant files are any TypeScript files within the source directory. So, seeing this information, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over to the Write Coding Plan right there. And we're going to click on Write Coding Plan. When we click on Write Coding Plan, the Code Planner agent is going to open up. And we're going to select the repository that we need. So this is built to be dynamic, so you can use it on the whatever different issue you need. The repo is listed, so we can just find it in here. We select it, and we're going to hit Generate Plan. All right, so Code Planner is working on this. So it's going to tell you what it's referencing. So it's referencing the work item. It's also going to look at the Bitbucket repository. If there was Confluence information that's also tied into this, it would reference that Confluence information. There may be behind the scenes in this one. It's not showing that, so I expect not. But it's writing the coding plan right now. In just a moment, and this is where we have to wait a second. It takes a little longer than it takes for me to talk. We're going to go out, we're going to go back in, and when we go back in, we're going to see a different look here. And it's nice that you can go off and go do what you need to do and come back to this, right? We've got a plan ready for review. So we click on that, and it opens up the coding plan. So the coding plan calls out what the task is, and it specifically says what files need to be changed, and it makes it clear that it says these will be, this will take care of all the things that you need to do here. So these are the new endpoints, and as you update these, it will take care of it. You can append it to the work item description by hitting append to work item description, and you might see out here, there's a little thing down here called generate code. We're not touching that yet. That's a whole nother conversation. But that's the code planner agent. And what took somebody hours before to find all the right information that they needed now takes them a minute or two. So, quick recap on how the code planner agent is creating coding plans. It starts off by learning from your Jira issue and the associated Confluence data to understand the business and technical requirements of the new task. Then it searches through your code base to locate the right modules and files that you need to focus on to deliver the requirements. Then it will take all of that context and knowledge and provide a structured plan, action plan, so that you can focus on making the right changes at the right place. This Rovo Dev agent is available today. So I actually think it may be out of beta, but I'm sure if you hit that link, you'll get the current information. Team was 3 months ago. Atlassian's been shipping furiously. I guess it's only 2 months ago. Jeez. I don't understand. It's only June. This is only one of the technical agents that Atlassian is building. In fact, today I just heard that Atlassian just released, by the way, another 81 agents that they've been working on. So they're going so fast and dropping so many new pieces of information. So it shipped June 12th. Excellent. I get to give this talk that Hari, the head of engineering for Dev Infra, who is primarily responsible for improving the productivity of 6,000 engineers at Atlassian, along with Chris Clark, who's the head of product for Bitbucket and Cloud. So this is about how Atlassian leverages Bitbucket Cloud and various other tools from the Atlassian platform to help accelerate their engineering internally. So the high-level overall agenda is that I'm going to start talking about concrete examples of Atlassian's internal development today, challenges they faced, approaches they took to address them, and wins they landed. And then Chris will continue to talk. I guess it's me. I'm Chris as well. Goodness, about all the new exciting features that Bitbucket is working on, so that you can use Atlassian's tools to replicate landing the wins that they had internally as well. So, Atlassian's internal development journey. First, some context on the scale of Atlassian. They have about 5,500 developers working on 9,000 code repositories with multi-petabyte files on disks. Since May of last year, they constantly were seeing over 1 billion monthly build minutes running over all kinds of builds such as compilation, test automation, performance and accessibility checks, and many more. This is a very busy block diagram, and I'm not going to bore you with all the details. However, I wanted to show you this picture to give you context on how complex Atlassian's internal dev infra landscape was. They had a combination of server and cloud offerings from their source code management offering, Bitbucket DC and Bitbucket Cloud, as well as for their CI/CD pipelines, Bamboo and Bitbucket pipelines. As you can imagine, this tool sprawl led to a lot of complexity and resulted in inefficiencies across the board. This infinite choice ironically meant that things ultimately get slower and dev prod suffers because platform teams need to support all the things all the time. Standardization helps optimize engineering teamwork. If everyone uses similar tools and tech stacks, it's easier for anyone to look at your code and configuration without having to reorient themselves to your setup. Consistency can make rolling out changes and updates to the tool chain and tech stacks easier. This also helps with team agility, wherein we can more easily work across teams during a project, and an engineer can contribute without having to learn new ways to do something. It also allows Atlassian to move seamlessly engineers from one project to another without a big learning curve. That's the same procedures and tools used everywhere, reduce context change time. And if you have to talk to business bosses, this is a way that they save on OpEx. There we go. I didn't know that was going to happen. That's the fast part. So why Atlassian converged its tool chain? Developer productivity, reduce the time it takes to idea to code that solves customer problems. Getting an integrated cloud, streamline workflows by integrating with Jira Cloud, Compass, and Rovo AI. Customer trust, make it easier for engineers to do the right thing with security and compliance guardrails. Big fan of making it easy to do the right thing. Things that were problems, again, slowed customer value, long feedback loops, delays between actions and feedback greatly slowed Atlassian's ability to create new customer value as fast as possible. Anybody seen Jack before? Jira.Atlassian.com. Think about the number of tickets that have sat there for a really long time. We're starting to see some of the things that caused that. Tool sprawl and documentation scattered across multiple systems made it hard to find information that was needed. And then they didn't have very good developer metrics. So little insight into the bottlenecks in the software development lifecycle. One of the things that Atlassian knows better than anybody, they've done some great studies on this, is that happy developers equal productive developers. Developer experience or developer satisfaction is critical for attracting new talent and retaining high performers. In today's world, with the competition going on, especially around AI, it's critical that you're able to keep your developers happy. I would argue you want to extend that to your entire company, but in software organizations, developers are that really critical key source. Higher quality software, removing friction allows more time to focus on quality. Boy, the QA engineers love to hear that. Improve productivity, again, make work as easy as possible. Make it easy to do the right thing. And faster release cycles lead to enhanced experimentation and learning. So, Atlassian's journey. Atlassian has a front-end monorepo. The front-end monorepo they built is more than 18 gigs in size, has more than 26 million lines of code, and over 1,500 active developers. Doing this change was really challenging, but also rewarding, and we're going to take you through that experience. In the front-end ecosystem, let's understand what an iteration of changes meant for the front-end ecosystem at Atlassian. Atlassian's web UIs are composed of numerous platform components. If you've ever done any development in this space, you know this is true. Reusable elements that provide common functionality and ensure a consistent Atlassian experience across the products. When you look at a product, at any product experience, a lot of what you see is platform components. The navigation, the new navigation, your avatar, the buttons, the page breadcrumbs, the smart links, the editor when you leave a comment. It's all platform components. You don't have to build them from scratch, they're reusable. So the whole turnaround time to pushing code changes into production and getting them to customers is known as ship cycle time. It's an industry metric that measures how long it takes to deliver code from committing changes to the same code reaching customers. Atlassian had a highly distributed and multi-step process to ship these changes, and it would take weeks and sometimes months to ship these changes to customers. Atlassian wanted this metric to be as close as 0 days. Not days, not weeks, and not months. So what they have to think about. First, infrastructure. Had to make sure that the infrastructure could scale and be reliable, that the performance of the tooling could handle the scale of monorepo. That meant merge queues, flake management system, the dependency graph solution, type checking across the repository. It's okay if you don't know what all this means. It's just making sure that all of the tooling can do the job that it needs to do when you're scaling up as you're moving to a new platform. From a developer experience, you want to make sure that there's zero downtime for the developers as you're doing the migration of repositories to the monorepo. Developer experience in the monorepo should be at least on par with the previous repositories, if not better. Take the opportunity to do consolidation and alignment. You got multiple tooling across products, different versions of the same software packages. Get to a standard there. And build for the future. Ensure the decisions that get made help Atlassian build the monorepo that they want for the future. Solutions like dynamic pipelines in Bitbucket Cloud, scalable merge queues supporting multiple products, and build orchestration. So they partnered with the teams to join with them towards this journey. As part of that effort, they scaled the merge queues. Parallel efforts from the products like Bitbucket Cloud to provide features like dynamic pipelines help them accelerate the journey. So you think about this internally, work with your dev teams to help build the tooling that you need to make these things successful. It'll probably be another part of your platform dev team because you are probably shipping external software and not using it the same way, possibly. But if you do, there's an opportunity. Again, because of the high impact business value that Atlassian wanted to deliver, they had to move towards a monorepo in a very short span. Given that they knew the considerations and risks, though, had to make sure that there were guardrails around developer productivity so that it would ensure that while cycle time got improved, they didn't dent developer productivity. So we talked about the before diagram here. A lot of things happening, crossing different places, using different tools to do the same type of work. Afterward, everything's going through Bitbucket Cloud. It's all running through pipelines, and you've got one deploy process. So how did they do this? They built some features, starting with test flake management. So they built the test flake management, dependency management, and build orchestration. Test flake management. As far as I can tell, flake management is when you're testing, I think. If somebody knows, you can jump in and tell me. But so, flake detection, rerunning, getting putting in historical anomaly detection algorithms and AI/ML models, bringing in accountability with a notification system, creating tickets for tracking every single thing, and dashboards to get details about all the flakes in the system. You'll notice these are the same things that Atlassian and anybody that you talk to who works with Atlassian tools will tell you are the things you need to do to help manage your processes. Getting together a dependency graph. So make sure that it could scale and handle the increased scale of the monorepo, ensuring that the performance was improved and the graph generation time went down, and then making sure that you had more accurate and detailed dependency information. So this is this opportunity to both scale and improve at the same time. So what you're moving to is not just the same, but even better than what people were working on before. Next up, reduced build times. So running the builds which are required. Here we go. Running the builds which are required. Getting fast feedback. So dollar reduced build times, devs get feedback faster. So reduced build times often, when you say we run the builds which are required, this means you're only running the builds that are required. You don't have to run every build every time. That allows you to have reduced build time. Devs get feedback faster. This is so crucial. One of the things that has been found is that if you let developers sit around too long between builds, they will find something else to do. And when that happens, they don't get back to the thing that they were working on. And so now you have lag time in between a build being done and the feedback getting back to the developer. So you want to reduce those build times. And because you're cutting down on unnecessary builds, you're using your resources more efficiently. So you're saving money and time that way. So what did Bitbucket Cloud do? It 40% improvement in build reliability. That's huge. I have watched builds go through on Jenkins and other tools, and a build that fails, it wastes a whole bunch of your time. So 40% improvement is huge. 80% reduction in the build times, also huge. Again, that goes from a 10-minute wait time in between builds to a 2-minute wait time. That keeps a developer from moving on to another task and having to context switch. $4 million saved annually in terms of running the builds. You can invest that into more R&D, or you can get more people with that money to help scale up your work. So a 90% reduction in effort to land code migrations. That's huge. That's just absolutely huge. That means something that might have before taken 2.5 months now takes a week. That's what that means. That's how much that effort changes. Additional wins: 51% reduction in PR cycle time from the time that PR is interested till it's committed. That's a big deal. That means there's less rework, less back and forth. Increased engineering throughput. 216% increased tickets per month. 57% tickets per developer per month. Now that's cool. That's great. But here's the coolest part. The code review DSAT score, developer sentiment satisfaction, at over 80% favorability. Atlassian managed to do all of this without decreasing the favorability of their developers. In other words, they literally got their developers to do more with less, in the same amount of time, without stressing them more. How did they do that? They leveraged AI to automate common code reviews, large-scale migrations, and applying standards. So common, repetitive, and mundane things are always things that you can automate with 3 cool agents, implementer agents. Automate these common, repetitive, and mundane coding tasks. You can do this with customizing a pre-existing template with the details of your task and repository to create your own custom agents. Streamline your pull requests with automatic advice to fix bugs, improve code quality, boost readability, and more. The agent will match code changes to the requirements listed in the Jira work item, letting you know if anything's been missed. The code planner agent, we went over this, how fast it speeds up the time to get to coding. In the realm of web development, accessibility, also known as A11Y, plays a crucial role in crafting inclusive digital experiences. However, tackling accessibility bugs can often prove to be a time-consuming and complex task. I can tell you that's true. I used to work at Sonos. At Sonos, when they released their new app, I believe this was last year, one of the big things was that there were some huge accessibility misses. And why was that? Because there was a push to get the thing out as quickly as possible, because some things had already fallen behind. So what does that mean? That means that accessibility suffers. Unfortunately, because accessibility often hits a smaller group of people, it doesn't get prioritized inside companies as like it should be. Atlassian, though, has done really smart things, and AutoDev has become an indispensable tool in their workflow for addressing accessibility bugs, because accessibility standards are standards. So you can leverage those over and over and over again to get the things done. The smooth integration with the Jira web interface has allowed them to efficiently manage multiple tasks simultaneously. What does that mean? It means 6,000 plus accessibility bug fixes automated, a 90% acceptance rate for certain bug categories, 5,000 playwright tests migrated. So the 60% of the migration was automated, 50% reduction in the overall migration times. Again, that means, let's talk about this in another way, 6 months to 3 months. You just bought your company a whole new quarter, or your team a whole new quarter. Repeatable patterns. So this approach, as I said, scales to other similar use cases. Look for things that have really clear standards. This is a great opportunity to use automation and AI to scale. All right, now we'll get into the final piece, which is Bitbucket Cloud. What's coming next? So I'll show you some of the things that Atlassian's been working on, and why Chris, who's not here, but I'm also playing Chris today, is convinced that we're on the cusp of a once-in-a-generation change on how developers get shit done on Atlassian Cloud. I was waiting for my first curse word in here, and I'm thrilled to have found it. All right, let's begin with what Atlassian Bitbucket Cloud team has been focusing on as a team. Mission 1, increase developer productivity in satisfying ways that reduce time spent on toilsome tasks that can be automated and increase the time spent on innovation and actual software development. Mission 2, build best-in-class integrations across the Atlassian stack to keep developers in the flow and avoid costly and annoying context switching. Kate was just talking about this. All of these different pieces and integrations, how do you then pull them together so they work more effectively? Mission 3, be ever more secure, compliant, performant, and reliable. Atlassian has worked really hard to become a trusted cloud vendor, and Bitbucket Cloud is no exception. Now, if you haven't noticed, they've delivered a ton of value in the past year. For development productivity, they added AI-assisted PR descriptions, faster Git operations, iterative code review, focusing on the changes since the last review, bigger CI/CD step sizes, more CPU and memory options for pipeline steps, Jenkins migration, that's so huge, ARM builds in the cloud, ability to execute CI/CD builds running on ARM hardware, really big for folks that are working on special Apple Silicon workloads, faster pipeline builds. For Better Together, they added the highly requested dark theme, making Bitbucket easier on the eyes and consistent with the other cloud products. For Enterprise Trust, enforcing signed commits, where you can use GPG keys to encrypt and sign commits and verify contributions. Custom merge checks, which lets you write custom logic to gate pull request merges based on Forge hosted logic. Dynamic pipelines, where they let you insert dynamic YAML configs based on custom standardizable logic executed at runtime. External secret providers, where you can integrate third-party secrets management like 1Password or Vault, HashiCorp Vault, so that you don't have to store secrets in Bitbucket Cloud in case you already have a process to do this. They're also working on a ton more as we speak. Some of these may have already come out. Fast Atlassian is moving. Also, I think you can see why they're getting to move so fast. On behalf of developer productivity, AI-assisted PR reviews for routing out basic coding issues so your enterprise and colleagues don't have to play the role of human linters. Deployment queues, where we let you queue, pause, and unpause deployment steps based on conditional logic. AI step failure troubleshooting. Draft pull requests, where you can mark a pull request as a draft, preventing it from being merged until it's ready for review. That was one that was really needed. Step variable sharing, where we'll let you share context and state between pipeline steps. Code suggestions, which let human and AI reviewers propose changes to a pull request, where the author can then apply. And an AI deployment summarizer. I want to say one thing. Bitbucket Cloud has not always been quite up to the same level of like what folks are used to with like GitHub. It's probably the biggest competitor there. GitLab maybe, but it's a whole sort of different thing. With all these changes, in many ways, Atlassian, like Bitbucket Cloud, has left ahead of GitHub. For Better Together, they're still working on Rovo chat integration, where you can bring Rovo prompts context sensitive to the Bitbucket user experience. Unified user management for all customers, yay, which will finally make it possible for almost everyone to administer users and groups in one place, almost everyone. But as somebody who used to have to manage Bitbucket Cloud users separate from everybody else, this is also awesome. In Enterprise Trust, they're working on a Docker image registry where you can store and reuse Docker images into and from a managed container registry. Access token expiry, where you can configure expiration dates for access tokens. I think that one has shipped. Data residency for repositories, where Atlassian will let you choose a geographical region in which to store your repositories for compliance. All right, before I show you some of the exciting new features, let's talk a little bit about how the role of AI is changing for developers. In a nutshell, we're observing 3 big trends. 1, from code to toil. Global developer interest in AI is rapidly evolving from code generation to automated toil reduction across the SDLC. You see here, what did people say they were using it for? Writing code. What are they most interested in doing? Things that suck, toil. Trend 2, it's all about the data. Many and most toil reduction use cases require a common data layer that connects and correlates entities and actions across the SDLC, which is well outside what is surmisable from the code base alone. Hey, I think we've seen this before. The teamwork graph. This is why it's so important. Nowhere else will you find such a comprehensive network of directly and indirectly connected entities and actions from everything from the highest level goals to the most in the trenches code changes, tests, and deployments. I agree with this next statement. I didn't write it, but if I had to pick Atlassian's secret sauce in the age of AI, the teamwork graph would be at the top of my list. Finally, we've entered the age of consolidation, with enterprises increasingly want to centralize SDLC and DevOps around a decreasing number of platforms and tools. As a person who often manages and owns the platforms and tools that our developers and our collaboration teams are working on, this is a fact. So, as one of only a handful of cloud companies whom you can trust with your most sensitive data, a product portfolio broad yet open enough to meet your needs, and a passion for keeping tabs on and AI interpreting the entities and actions across your entire SDLC, Atlassian is an ideal candidate to be one of a decreasing number of end-to-end platforms in your enterprise stack. Enough dithering. Let's get to the main event with like almost no time left. I'm buzzing. Let's dive into how Bitbucket Cloud, combined with the latest core features, AI dev agents, and Rovo Chat, powered by the Teamwork Graph, is poised to take your development productivity to the next level. All right, to set the stage, we got two people, Crystal, the code author, and Austin, the code reviewer. Crystal and Austin's journey will go through multiple steps as they collaborate on the development of a new feature. Crystal will grab a work item in Jira, write some code, get a pipeline running, create a PR for review, pass it to Austin, who will do a code review and suggest a code change, then pass it back to Crystal for final merge, test, deploy, package registration, and work item completion in Jira. Along the way, we'll show you how we're leveraging AI to make many of the steps more efficient by automating toilsome, time-consuming tasks so that Crystal and Austin can spend more time on what they do best, coding. Let's kick it off with Crystal, who starts it all off in Jira. Crystal begins by picking up a work item where her product manager is asking her to develop a new user profile dialog feature. Here she goes. She's looking at it. Oh my goodness. Come on, Crystal. Show him quick. She asks Rovo to help her get started, and it responds by giving her a list of indirectly related Confluence pages, and directly and indirectly Confluence pages and Jira issues, saving her time and keeping her falling down rabbit holes. Okay. Wait. Oh, I'm hitting backward. There we go. Okay. So she did that. I don't know what it's here. Okay. Confident that she has enough information to begin the work, she clicks the repository link. Rovo found her and lands in Bitbucket Code. Cloud, ready to code. Okay, come on. Here we go. So she goes in. She's going to go, and bam, she's in the code base, just like that. For the purposes of this journey, I'll skip the coding part as it's been well covered in other sessions, but suffice it to say, Crystal uses her preferred IDE and or AI coding assistant, which now can include the Rovo Dev CLI, to write and debug her code. When she's ready to take her code for a spin, Crystal sets up a new pipeline to execute the build. Observing her build status and pipelines, Crystal is sad to see that her first build fails. Undaunted, but still on a tight schedule, Crystal uses the pipeline troubleshooter to quickly understand why her build is failing, which it does by traipsing through the logs and comparing it to similar problems. 2 hours later. Not really, actually. Crystal makes some changes, and using the troubleshooter's advice, she spends the next couple of hours fixing her build. After making those changes, she runs her pipeline again, and this time it's successful. Congratulations, Crystal. Confident her code works, it builds correctly, and her tests are passing, Crystal prepares for the code review by creating a new pull request for her work. At the same time, she uses the AI pull request description generator to create a description based on the changes that she's made. Code reviewer is reviewing the pull request. She takes a look at it. Back to this. What is happening? There we go. Yep. A couple of these have a couple of extra but bumps into next. She flags her pull request for AI review using the new code reviewer agent. This will make her the review more efficient because it will catch errors, stylistic issues, and bugs, which will keep him from having to play human linter, which he doesn't love. She then creates it as a draft. Again, over here, I believe. Yep, she creates it as a draft. And then, now that it's in close, she takes a closer look at the comment that the code reviewer made. Not unveiled with this. And left her suggesting that she make a name change to remain in compliance with the naming convention. Okay with the change that it made, she accepts the suggestion and observes the code diff that results. Confident that her changes are the correct one, Crystal's ready to request a human review. So, given the complexity of the change, Crystal uses the unfamiliarity of her team with this particular job to be done. Crystal uses Rovo to find the best reviewers in her organization based on context. Based on the information, she decides that Austin, the software developer who authored the test document, is the right person to review. So now we move to Austin. Austin's been minding his own business when the request comes in for a pull review. He receives a notification in Slack requesting that he review Crystal's pull request, which, being the team player that he is, he immediately accepts. After landing in the pull request in Bitbucket Cloud, Austin, pressed for time, could really use some help understanding the change. Rovo to the rescue. Austin asks Rovo to summarize the request, saving tons of time because he doesn't have to come up to speed the hard way. Note, in a world where PR reviews are broadly distributed based on best reviewer, quickly coming up to speed on the why, what, how, and who, and when is essential. Now that Austin understands the change, he's ready to provide his review and suggest a change. Based on Crystal's changes, Austin notices a problem. Wow, they want me to go to the next screen first. Okay. So, using Bitbucket Cloud's new code generation, code suggestion feature, Austin requests a change inline, and then he passes it back to Crystal for her review. So, with his conditional approval if she makes the changes. So we flip back to Crystal. She sees this change. She applies this change, confident now that he will conditionally approve it. Now what's cool is, because he's conditionally approved it, it automatically approves. With the changes in place, Crystal's ready for merge, test, and deploy. So Austin didn't have to hang around. So after merging her code, she finds herself in pipelines once again, where she executes her final tests, security scans, etc., before releasing to the staging environment. Okay. Now that her deployment's official, she uses the new deployment summarizer agent to provide a summary of all the changes in her deployment, which will be useful for anyone who wants to understand what changed. From the folks who requested the change to the folks who need to sign off on it before it enters production. And we see that summary generating here. Less than 10 slides to go, friends. We're almost done. Now that it's completed, Crystal's ready to create and register a new Docker image containing the latest application state. At the command line interface, she kicks off the Docker image creation process and the registry process. And then, with it completed, she verifies that it shows up in the registry, which we saw here, where she can view details, download, and delete it. Last step. With the changes deployed, the new package built and registered, Crystal is finally ready to wrap up her work where it all started, back in Jira. She pastes the deployment summary in and marks the work item done. Confident she's done all the right things, wraps up her work today, happy she was able to complete the work efficiently and accurately, thanks to just the right level of AI assistance throughout her journey. Notice we didn't take the fun parts away. We didn't take like the opportunity to do some cool coding or focus on that stuff. Instead, what we did was we took away a bunch of the toil. So when will these features ship? What quarter are we in? Are these? Do you know if these are calendar quarters or?
Well, Atlassian is about to wrap up Q4 of 2025, I believe.
Yes.
So I'd expect all of these have probably shipped.
Correct.
Yes.
But if not, we'll find out and we'll tell you.
It should be calendar year for the rest of the world, but unfortunately, we do publish things according to Atlassian's fiscal, which ends June 31st. So most of these should be available.
And like, this is just the beginning. You know, they're doing so many other things. Keep an eye on the map, which we can drop a link into, and the Bitbucket Cloud blog, because they keep sharing all of these things. All right. Any questions? Woo! I ran right, but does anybody have questions?
That was awesome, though, Brian. Thanks for going that in depth.
Of course. All right, we'll give it a couple seconds for folks. Any Q&A, anything you want to pop off your mute and ask questions about, folks, that you saw? Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Great writing by the folks, which is really helpful. Though some of it I did have to completely make up because there were no notes. All right. With that, I'm going to toss it over to Cameron for our final presentation about Rovo and all of the star of the show, Rovo. Which is why Cameron's doing it, because Cameron's the star of the show as well.
Are you sure? I thought you were the star, but that's all right.
We can both be stars. All three of us are stars.
All right. Give me 1 second, guys. This is, let me make sure this is working correctly. Are you guys seeing the presenter view or the regular one?
We are seeing the regular one that we should be seeing.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys. Brian, awesome job. It was super technical. I definitely learned some stuff. Guys, this one will be a little less technical. Just a little bit about me. I run the Atlassian practice for Clavet. But I'm more on the operations strategy side. But one of the things that I really do love is AI. Got really excited this year, obviously at Team, when they went in and they did make that announcement that everything, premium and on, right, is going to have access free of charge to Rovo. So that'll be the next slide. I already kind of blew it. But, today we're going to be covering creating effective Rovo agents and basically a guide to no-code agents, which is perfect for me because, it's more about a process flow, thinking about a situation and talking yourself through it and building that out. So like I said, now millions of users now have access to Rovo agents, which is really exciting. So if you have premium and above, you should see that button available to click. So definitely recommend kind of checking that out and looking around to see if, some of those agents work for you. Now, currently got about 100,000 customer workflows that have incorporated agents. So obviously Rovo is still new. I'm not sure how many of you have kind of checked it out. I know obviously a lot of the stuff we've covered today has touched on it, but still definitely one of the newer elements from Atlassian, at least from a ubiquitous perspective, right? From everybody having it. But obviously the comments are really good out there. I can just directly from Atlassian itself, but within 60 days of launching, the knowledge base librarian saved 136 hours through automatic creation of articles. Now, I don't know how many people deal with knowledge base articles out here. I'm sure a number of you. It's really hard to keep up with having the right amount of knowledge base articles out there. Stuff is coming up all the time, and this really kind of helps at least get you started in terms of making those knowledge base articles and getting them out there, because a really strong knowledge base not only works really well for JSM, but for Jira and just across the Atlassian ecosystem. And honestly, we just have to get better in just as both from the public sector and private sector, holding that information and making that more available instead of having to, lose people or, people move on, whatever, and you lose that knowledge, right? Just a little bit from MCB. Rovo is really awesome. Yes, it is. So today we're going to cover like kind of two different ways to build custom agents. Well, sorry, there are two different ways. I'm not going to cover the coding piece because that's a bit over my head. But we are going to cover the one with a no code option. But for code, obviously there's marketplace developers out there, solution partners, internal only use cases, and then advanced uses. So really anything you can think of within the realms of what's included in these software platforms can be pulled into. And there's a little bit more at that link down at the bottom. And then from a no-code perspective, right, we've got guided prompting assistance, out-of-the-box building blocks, and transparent and share. And but don't worry, knowing how to code is not a prerequisite to building these agents, right? We provide an entire no-code system to enable any user to create a custom agent using our agent builder tools. Now, again, this is what we're going to focus on today: how to make the best agent for your organization and your use case using no code at all. So today, going into the node code section. So today we want to cover, how to identify a use case where agents can make an impact, how we build these agents, and then how to test and deploy these agents. So first, we're going to kind of start off by the most important part of creating the agents. It was just like obviously identifying the use case, right? Where it's not actually creating the agents. It's identifying, defining what you need it to help with. So basically, you want to write down the things you want to do and where do you want it to show up. And since your feedback drives what Atlassian does, they've been building what people have been asking for the most. So they've got over now 50 app connectors for Atlassian Cloud, Data Center, tools like Slack, Google Drive, and Teams. So anything that is connected, Rovo can have access to. We'll kind of go a little bit into the access permissions down the line, but throughout your whole organization, you can now start to tap into these different data sources. And coming soon, Compass, Focus, Loom, Bitbucket. I think those are actually already covered. So I think that's actually already deployed. So be on the lookout for those as well. So step one, most important part of creating agents, right, is just identifying and defining what you need help with. So you kind of want to write what you want to do and where they want to show up. So, basically, how do we fix these problems? So we're going to write the steps down, document each step in the workflow, keep it high level, right? So each month we want to create a report of last month's tickets, identifying topics for each ticket, find related knowledge, and then review pages for inconsistencies and duplication, and then create and edit those articles. Then step two, we're now going to identify the tasks that are in them. So for each step, write down the task and what steps are required to achieve them, right? So for creating a report of last month's tickets, we're going to Jira query for all the tickets. We're going to export that to Excel. For identifying topics for each ticket, we're going to analyze each issue in detail and then do some manual tagging of each issue. And then we're going to find related knowledge, which is manually looking for keywords via search, and then logging all those pages related to the topic, reviewing pages for inconsistencies and duplication, tag the topic, tag if topic needs a new article, and then tag if topic needs edited articles. And then last, creating the article, which is writing and editing the article. And then obviously, this is a very repetitive, very manual task. So what we're going to kind of look for, right, is where are these areas where we can find the opportunity to introduce Rovo. So you'll see it up in, Jira query for all the tickets, identifying the topics of each ticket, manually looking for keywords via search, tagging if the topic needs edited articles, and then, of course, writing those articles. So now we're going to look into building these. So we need to know what we need to, one, learn from support tickets, group these ideas into topics, search the information we gathered from these support tickets, and search our existing knowledge base to understand if an Article 1 needs updating or if an entirely new article needs to be written. So here we got learning from the support tickets, 2, grouping the tickets, 3, searching knowledge base and identifying gaps, and then 4, writing the new article and building that out and recommending edits. So today, Rovo can read pages, blogs, whiteboards, comments, page history, Q&A, CQL, and hubs. It can also read system fields, custom fields, JQL, linked issues, linked pages, and backlogs. It can also do recent activity, user profiles, goals, projects, and all updates. And then the third-party search, like I mentioned earlier, so that's Atlassian public docs, non-Atlassian links, Forge, and other files. And just remember, agents can only access what the user has access to. So if you have a higher level of access, you're getting a higher level of Rovo results. If you're kind of on a lower level of access, you'll only have access to what you do have access. So right now we could look. So Rovo can read all of these spaces. So not only a number of products, but you're also seeing a number of other traditional coding or collaboration, even email type apps that we are all using every day to complete our work. And more is coming. So for here, what you got up in front of us is the Rovo AI Studio. So, here you can integrate AI, automations, apps, and more kind of endless ways to create and connect the different elements that Atlassian is offering. You can see you can start with agents, you can create automations, assets, hubs, and then there's some deeper functionality as well. It looks like you can do with Forge. So here it's going to just show really quick. We're going to go in and let's build an agent. So look at the support tickets that we solved in the last 24 hours and identify common topics. So here you got the knowledge base librarian that's then kind of pulling together a knowledge base article for you with just the click of a button and a little bit of prompting. Now, a little bit of instructions on prompting. So, this is kind of the second most important thing, right? Is how do you prompt your agents? Now here you can see just a kind of a general prompt. So you assist support teams by reviewing closed tickets to ensure relevant knowledge base articles are comprehensive and up to date. Your tasks include identifying gaps in documentation and recommending updates based on recent ticket information. So when you analyze issues, review their summary, description, and comments. And then you want to group these related issues into topics. So obviously we're being very specific here, right? For each topic, assign them one of the following category. Needs article, does not have a knowledge base article, has article, already has a complete knowledge base article, or needs update, has a KB article, but needs an update. One of my kind of just things I love using AI myself, be very specific, pretend like it's your assistant, but make sure that you're very, very clearly delineating all of the things that need to do. So here's a little bit of a zoomed in version of kind of what we just covered. But obviously taking it very much step by step and making sure that you're very clear on not only what you're telling it to do, but also the format that you want it to show up in. Now we're going to go a little bit into prompt engineering. So, general rules and principles of a good prompt, and that applies to Rovo agents. So here's just some tips that they recommend. So one is persona, goal, context, and format, right? You are an expert at the objectives and key results framework. Your goal is to help teams brainstorm and write objectives and key results. When asked to review the content, ensure your format response follow the following format, right? Be very clear with how you want it to show up. Then we go, all right, where applicable, give it some examples, give it something to work off of, right? Good example of an issue description which follows the correct format that has the following contents. And then also a bad example. Tell it what not to do, right? And we're going to cover that a little bit deeper, but telling them what not to do is also just as important. So be concise and break it down. One thing I kind of mess up is, don't use colloquialisms. I mean, it'll get it, but, I also recommend, be very clear in your language when you're prompting these elements. So, to generate these release notes, follow the instructions. The goal is obviously identifying a list of issues to do this. And then the other goal is group issues into themes. And to do this, ... Then tell the agent what it is and what it isn't. You are a bug master. If you are asked anything about other topics, respond with a polite message saying you cannot help. This is one thing that will really, really help avoid any hallucinations. Obviously, I don't think all of it can be helped. We're still, still very new in the space and doing a lot of work in it. But, make sure to tell it what it should do and very specifically what it shouldn't do. And if it starts to get out of the bounds that you built it for, have it turn that, shut that conversation down or redirect it. So for this, a little bit of a kind of example of what we were talking about right? Of formatting output, with Markdown. So this is going to use different formatting techniques to improve the legibility of results. And then also, obviously, under the how, instruct the agents to return results in Markdown formats. So, for each topic, we wanted to scan the page and provide a review of how the document fares about the topic, use emojis to kind of highlight the rating score for each of the topic, and basically do it like this. Red circles highlights issues with the section. Yellow highlights areas which need improvement. Green, good to go, awesome. And then after that, after going through all the topics, summarize the rating score for each topic in the table and use the same Markdown format. Now make the table to have 2 columns. First column, the topic, second column, the emoji score, then example. And then it comes out looking a little bit something like this, right? Nice and legible for anybody that's using it. Everything kind of in a table format, kind of quickly digestible. Really important for these kinds of things, especially if you have quite a wide audience that's going to be interacting with this. Cool. Now, a little bit about creating a welcome mat, right? So the why, teach users how they can use your agent and give them inspiration for use cases, right? And then how, tell the agents what to say when someone asks about what they can do. Now, when asked, you can assist by providing recaps of individuals for a team's work. And this is useful for the following things like preparing for your stand-ups, staying on top of a team activity, and then sharing team achievements. And then give the user different ideas for how they can use the recap agent, right? Chat to it personally to get a quick team update. Use it to author a team update while editing a Confluence page, right? As you're doing some work, have it do that work for you. Add this agent to an automation rule to post regular updates to Teams or Slack, also another thing that you won't have to do. And then copy this agent and make it unique to your own team. Change the knowledge and tweak the prompt to meet your needs. This is what that would kind of look like. Awesome. And then moving on to avoiding the chatter. So I kind of covered this a little bit before, but only have the agents speak if they find an issue, right? Remain silent if everything is fine and get straight to the point. How, instruct the agent to not say anything if there is no issues and instruct it to remove conversational responses. So maybe it will come across a little kind of straight and cut to the point, but it will make sure that you're not adding any extra information in there that you're not looking. So in the example, right, if you do not have any suggestions to improve the bug report, respond with the phrase, no response and nothing else. Do not play back the bug report to the user. You only make suggestions if you have any. I'm sure if any of you have prompted AI before, you can often get reruns of that same answer. You don't really want that in these scenarios, right? You really just want it cut, dry, and to the point. Any additions, obviously, let it call it out. But, and then last, just provide suggestions without any additional conversational text. You do not generate any leading or trailing messages. One thing to really good to put on all these, just make sure it's clear, concise, and definitely not leading on. And here you can see a little bit of how that looks when it's created, right? So when the work item is created, run when a work item is created, right? Use the Rovo agent to do a bug triage, and then that branches out, comparing the two values, checks if the agent response does not contain no response, and then add comment to work item and then agent response. And then that will basically give you a readout that will look something like this. Cool. Next, follow a template. So if you want the agent to adhere to a specific output, give it an exam, give it a template. And how? You tell the agent to always use that template when generating a response. So a little example here, some product requirements don't need to include all of the topics. Think about what your team needs to make progress. So here is the template structure. So you got problem space, objectives, success metrics, user stories, user experience and design, or just, link a page. Sorry guys, taking a quick drink of water. And then obviously break down the template. Give me a title. Give me the problem space. Give me the objectives. Give me the success metrics. And then define success of a feature, for example. So again, be very specific, be very clear. But of course, you will have the chance to also test this out. We'll kind of get into that feature as well. And here you can see a little bit about what that looks like in the space. And then what the output becomes. Awesome. Next tip. So guide the user with steps. So to improve reliability, the sequence the steps and make them interactive when your agent performs a specific task. And then how, instruct the agent to step the user through the process with confirmations at each step. A little example. So to generate release notes, follow these steps. Goal, identify the list of issues. 2 ways to do this. 1, the easiest way and the preferred method, ask the user to paste the link in Jira, searching all containing issues that they want to generate release notes for. Or 1B, if they don't give you anything, ask them to give you a Jira project. The user might give the project key by asking you to generate release notes for this, in quotation marks, project. And if they do, work out the Jira project key from the URL that the user, and then obviously have that confirm if that's the correct project, just in case they happen to be on another one. And then once they have the project key, ask them the time period that they want the release notes. So make sure it kind of steps them through those different elements step by step. Cool. And then obviously you get your release notes exactly within the area that you're looking for. Now we're going to jump a little bit into knowledge, aka the brain. So by default, agents will use all of the connected organizational knowledge, but still respecting permissions. So you can also narrow down an org. Oh, sorry guys, that popped off. 1 second. There we go. Are you guys back up? I did not like that. Pardon me.
We're good.
Yeah, for some reason it does not like me using that piece. It breaks the whole system. All right, cool. So yeah, you can narrow down org knowledge to certain Confluence spaces or pages, Jira projects, Atlassian home projects and Goal, and any of your Rovo connected third-party sources. Wonderful. And then, a quick tip, if you want all organizational knowledge and no world knowledge, what you can do is then basically click on the custom specific org, but not give it access to any of the internal knowledge. So very customizable, very able to basically adjust what you want it to have access to, what you don't, and with different use cases, you might be changing that on the fly as well. All right, a little bit about actions, aka abilities. So currently there is 50 actions available for Rovo that are kind of out of the box, and then obviously you can continue to build your own as well. But these
there's more. There's more now. Let me see if I can get you a new number.
Cool. Yeah, I assume that's probably an older number. Cool. And one of our obviously personal favorites is automation, aka workflows, stuff that saves all of us time. And they keep calling this automatons. I don't know if that's an Atlassian speak, but I'll call it automations, automatons. Maybe the notes were just wrong in here. But from here, we're going to show three different versions: a simple, an intermediate, and advanced. So basically, when new bugs are raised, if it has no suggestions, do nothing. Only comment when you have a value, right? So Loom video added, use Rovo agent to decode feedback, and then create the Google Doc. Next is more of an immediate, right? When work item is created, use the Rovo agent to triage, and then we branch that out, compare the two values, checks agent response. If it does not contain no response, then adds comment to work item. And then here, from an advanced perspective, you could say when scheduled every day at 9 a.m. You then use the Rovo agent and then branch that out for each smart value. Add another component to compare the two values. Add the little prompt in there. So analyze tickets that closed in the last 24 hours. So guys, as you can see, we're still sticking on that kind of tickets closed over the last 24 hours and creating that knowledge base, right? Give me an output in a JSON list of objects, which follow this format. And then it kind of has the type, topic, and title in terms of format. You can see the list of topic.type, topic.topic, topic.title, topic.Jira issues.
64.
Nice. There we go. And then under that, you've got now the Rovo agent, the knowledge creator that comes in. And now that's going to be basically, review the topic in brackets and draft a how-to article to resolve this work item. And then just below that, then we're going to create that page in Confluence. Then we're going to create a new task. And you see VitaFleet IT support, Atlassian's famously made up company. And then you just finalize to create the work item in Jira. So obviously something like this can save a team so much significant time, not creating new knowledge articles or just updating, making sure that obviously whatever was created still aligns with your organization, right? Don't trust AI completely. Always check your work. And then deploy. So basically, we're going to look into breaking it down. So break down large prompts, testing smaller chunks to help pinpoint issues, and then try this, copy sections of your agent prompt and test them in Rovo chat. Then ask it why. Getting an unexpected agent result, check on it. This is a real confusion in the instructions, data sourcing, or hallucinations. And then next ask, how can I instruct you better next time, or suggest prompts to prevent this. And then 3, chat first. Test all agents in Rovo chat first. I did mention that before. So before automating and refining workflows, ensure that an agent functions work well in chat to save you time and effort. Don't build the whole thing out. Test it in chunks. And then a quick tip on this. So embed forms to capture feedback. So obviously feedback is very helpful. I think one of the things that Atlassian does really well is taking in those feedback. So you guys, as using these agents, highly recommend doing that as well, right? The why, capture agent feedback, or fill out a form to capture additional information. And then 2, instruct the agent to embed, let's say, a Google or Microsoft form. So a little example here. So if you've answered more than 3 questions for the user, upon your next message, append a short sentence to ask them for their feedback. So for example, something like, one more thing, I'd love to hear any feedback you might have. So so that I can get better. I'd love to hear about it here. Insert URL. When you render the link, do not display it with the link alias, but provide the raw URL. Here we go, a little bit of an example here. Cool. So a little bit of a guide to building the Rovo agents here and how those kind of look when they come out. So here you can actually ask the Rovo agent builder to guide you along this path. So now let's see what happens when these agents start to work together. So you'll see them. They'll basically select all of the VPN issues that it's recognizing, and then the knowledge librarian scans yesterday's tickets, find gaps, and then hand them over to the knowledge creator to create these different knowledge articles. So again, now 3 different items that hopefully take some of those level 1 type issues that are coming into your service desk, or you're getting emails or whatever. Hopefully it's a service desk, but if not, you now have these available to also share. But obviously giving that self-service within JSM and making recommendations as they type in VPN, very, very effective way to keep the teams focused on level 2, level 3 type issues. All right, guys, kind of wrapping up. So we've got 1, identify, right? See what's possible and identify your gaps. So identify the use case, map out existing business workflows, and explore where the agent should appear, chat, editor, automation, and embedded. 2, build, configure your new teammate. Set up the agents, prompts, actions, and knowledge. Define where the agent will appear in the business workflow, again, and then build any automations to required to support your use case. And then 3, deploy. Test, very important. Gather feedback, secondarily, very important. And share, right? Testing tips, get feedback with embedded forms, and share the agent links and embeds. Thanks, everybody. I've been Cameron. It's great having you. Hopefully you learned a little bit about this. Definitely happy to answer any questions. I, too, am new to utilizing Rovo. So again, I think it's definitely something we'll continue to all work on together, but happy to answer any questions if they're out there. And thanks, Kate.
Yeah, let's go, folks. Anybody got any questions for Cameron or us about Rovo? All right. Well, I mean, take a moment, think about it, see if you got questions. Kate, do you have a question?
Do I have? I'm curious. I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but it'd be interesting to hear how and if you both are using Rovo today in your experimentation.
Ooh.
I'll be honest, I am using it. I would not say that all the time am I successful. So I've definitely, the knowledge-based article is one that I find really intriguing. I mean, especially automating the ability to spin up knowledge-based articles and just put them into queue for review. I think it's really helpful because, I mean, we come into organizations all the time where you're like, oh, like you got an article for this, you got an article for this, and most of the time it's no. Sometimes they're more on the advanced side, but we run into a lot of gaps from the knowledge base, and it's it's hard. People just do not have the time to go, "Ooh, this needs an article. This needs an article." So I think this just takes you a couple steps further. I love that. I also have been looking into the project management one, but still working on getting that to work exactly like I needed to. Brian, you're more technical than I am, though. What about you? Have you gotten it to work?
I love that you're more technical than I am. I mean, I think one of the problems that I have is that I'm just not, because I'm an administrator of the platform.
Yeah.
I spend less time having the opportunity to use the tools as much as I am managing them. So I am looking forward to hopefully finding another full-time job where I get to use these tools more often and dig in. But mostly right now, I'm doing a lot of learning about them. And, I am looking forward to diving into the Rovo Dev Agent. And I do think actually the planner could be really helpful as I even work on my own little side projects, with documentation, then going in and then being able to have it put some things together for me as a direction to move. I just launched a newsletter and I vibe coded that whole thing basically, which means that there's a bunch of stuff that I now need to turn into documentation and then will help me as I go forward to reference what I need to do in the future.
Nice. I'd be very curious to see as an admin if what you start to figure out, because maybe there's some elements. I know it's kind of more, on the user level, but maybe there's even a play for some admin type.
Oh, I'm certainly there is, and I believe, but I'm expecting it's also the most complex stuff for Atlassian to work on because of how complex configuration is. So I expect it's coming.
Of course. Hey, Patrick, we see you got a hand up. Feel free to come up, mute, throw it in chat, whatever you feel is best.
Yeah, look, I've been frustrated since in Orange County there was the Team 25, and they said, Rovo is included in your enterprise. We still haven't had it rolled out in our enterprise because our privacy team, all the usual rigmarole with enterprise bureaucracy and all that stuff. But I think next week they're going to turn it on finally. And I was curious, what are your experience with Rovo versus Copilot? Now, Copilot has an API into Jira, right? And so it has some insights into our enterprise planning data in Jira. What will be the Rovo advantage over that using Copilot integration?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kate. Yeah, I go for it.
That's a great question. So to be fully candid, I haven't played around with Copilot too much. However, the benefit is Rovo, if you're already using the Atlassian suite, Rovo is better primed to surface information in other Atlassian products. And yes, you do have an integration into Copilot, but you might not be able to expose everything that's available in our intelligent data layer using that integration versus using Atlassian's Rovo.
Right. Might not understand the team graph, and I know some of those
quite as well
as Atlassian. Interacting with it. Yeah, I don't honestly. I have not used Copilot as much. We're not on Microsoft, so I wish I could tell you.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I was going to say the teamwork graph, and it's going to be more directly integrated in terms of it's sort of like where do you spend most of your time, right? That's the other part, I think.
Patrick, I would love to know though, as it does get rolled out to you, I would love to know the differences that you're starting to see. Obviously, I know it'll take a little while to kind of play with it and get used to it, but yeah, would definitely be interested. Great question. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for being here today. This has been really wonderful. So we've got a couple of things coming up that I just want to toss to you really quick. One is that we have, oh my God. Okay, so we have an event on August the 22nd, which is a little bit far away, but I want to share it with you all because it's going to be a full day event we're doing. It's AI Summer Camp with Atlassian, and it's going to be in LA all day, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you happen to be able to come in for it, or if you're able to, if you live in LA and you can come, it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be a blast. We've got to save the date up for it. We also have, I believe, we have our next lean coffee in the morning. So come to that. That's Thursday at 7:30 a.m., I believe. Nice to get your coffee in the morning and then go ahead and learn some more about Atlassian stuff. And just basically, it's open to everyone. And basically, what you do is you come and you all vote on topics that you want to join, that you want to talk about. Anything else? Then we're going to have next month, we are going to be doing a fun, just another get-together happy hour at the Proud Bird where we did it last time. So make sure to check those things out. Join the chapter on the website. And also, if you also check out the community-led classes that Atlassian has going on. There's a bunch of classes being led by a bunch of community leaders and community champions like me, some other people that you may know. Check those out. I'm going to start hosting, starting next Wednesday, the Atlassian Clinic. Come in the afternoon from about 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific. Any question you have, we'll figure it out. It's an open office hours.
Very cool.
So come to that. And then the last thing I'll say, go to unofficialroundup.com and sign up for the unofficial Atlassian Ecosystem Roundup, which is attempting to make sure that you know all of the changes that are happening across the ecosystem of Atlassian every week in one easy-to-read newsletter. Thank you to Kate. Thank you to Cameron. Thank you all for coming. We had a blast, and this will be up for replay and for other folks to see if they want to get it. We're also going to work to get it on our YouTube page, which we will share out to everybody afterwards.
Amazing. Brian, thank you for putting all of us together. You're a machine, man. He is also spearheading the AI summer camp. I'm just going to let you guys know. That is no small feat, and this is going to be fun. We're excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. And then there's also something coming up 3 days in October, separate. It's going to be wild. There's so many great things we have happening in the LA area. So thank you all. All right.